So, Seth, on with the brand new Q series. I mean, you could say it's time to get in the queue. Hey, are we having that today? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to another first impression piece from us, and this time you join us in the cab of the brand new Q series tractor range from Valtra. So today we have come to, well, basically an abandoned airfield in the middle of Lincolnshire somewhere. What is it, former RAF Porkingham?
Yep.
So we've come over here, come for a look at this new tractor series, the Q series. So we're not going to do too much today in terms of work or anything like that. We're just going to get a bit of a flavour of it. We're going to have a little blast around, and while we're doing that, we've got Mr. Seth Bradford here from Valtra UK, who's going to talk us through the tractor, basically run through the tractor, all its development, how it came to fruition, all that kind of thing, number of models, yeah, lots of detail, all kinds of things like that. As ever, if you are watching this video on one of our social media channels, unfortunately for you guys, it probably will run out in a few minutes. So if you want to catch the full video, head on over to LandPowerTV.com. We've got all the videos in full there. You can make your own playlist. There's no adverts getting in the way, spoiling the party, and we'll also have a load of specs on there and probably a link to the manufacturer for a few more details. So Seth, the new Q series, I mean, kick us off with a quick range overview. I mean, how many models are in this Q series range?
So we start with a 225 right the way up to a 305. So basically ranging from 230 horsepower up to 305.
Right.
With the one we're sat in at the minute being that range top in 305.
So this is the flagship,
yeah,
this one?
Is the big one.
Right. So how many models are in that?
So five.
Five models in that one.
Yeah.
Right, and you mentioned the horsepower range there, which is basically, was it 230 to 300-ish,
230,
around there. Do any of the models get any boost or anything like that?
So the four smaller models, if you like, they boost 20 horsepower up from their base horsepower. But this 305 model is 305 horsepower all the time.
All day long?
Yeah, whether you want it the PTO or transport. So,
right,
yeah.
There you go. So I mean, the Q series, where does it fit in the family, in the Valtra family?
So it sits nicely between the T series and the larger S series model. Before, obviously the T series came up to a maximum power of 270 with a 255. If you wanted something bigger than that, you then had to jump to the S series. Obviously there's a chassis implication with that. You've got a much larger tractor. Whether that's right for you or not, it depends, but that's where the Q series comes along, and when you see them in the lineup between the two models, it fits perfectly in terms of wheelbase.
It's a nice step between the T and the S. Right, so let's get stuck into a little bit of technical detail. I mean, we'll start with the heart of the tractor, the engine. What have you put in this beast then?
So this is our 7.4 six-cylinder Acco Power engine.
Right.
The same unit that we use in the large T series. So
right,
bringing that up to 300 horsepower.
So it's an engine you know well.
Exactly.
Tried and tested, well proven.
That's it. Block design's been around for donkey's years. So
yeah.
It's, yeah, tried and tested, like you say.
And you mentioned there, obviously you use it in some of the larger T series models. Have you had to do anything different to the engine to cope with the extra power in the Q series?
Mainly cooling pack wise. So obviously larger engine producing more horsepower, wants more cooling. So yeah, it's mainly around that, and that's why we've physically got a larger bonnet to cope with that cooling pack. But apart from that, not really, no. And obviously we've got a different transmission, so that allows us to push more horsepower through that.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right, so in terms of the engine characteristics. I mean, what's it like? What's your torque curve like? Things like that?
It's a nice flat torque curve, so you've got plenty of torque throughout the whole rev range as such.
Yeah.
In terms of transport speed, you can get full speed at 1500 RPM.
Right, so it fairly dials itself back.
Yeah, and it's quite responsive as well. So you've got the power on tap whenever you need it. And with the ability of the Smart Touch controller, well, either if you're driving it on the drive lever, yeah, plenty of deer.
There's plenty of deer around here.
if you're driving it on the foot throttle or the Smart Touch drive lever, it doesn't really matter. They're both seamlessly proportional, so it depends whether you want to be rough and give it everything and off she goes and go off like a stab rat, or just be nice and gentle and just inch up to an implement, for example. You've got the control there as well. So
there we go. Right, so moving on back through the tractor then, transmission, what have we got in this?
So we've got the Acco Vt Transmission, commonly used in some of our sister brand products. So it's a two-stage or two-speed CVT transmission, effectively.
Right.
The technical name is the ML260. If you're a bit of an anorak. But yeah, so effectively you've got a work range or a field range and a transport range. So we're currently in B range, so you go from 0 to 50k just seamlessly, put your foot down and off she goes.
And for most jobs you can just leave it in B range.
Exactly, yeah. When you're in the field, subsoiling, ploughing, whatever, in the field, you have to put it then into A range. It's basically a second gear. So
got you. And those two ranges, can you change on the move?
You can, so you can drop down from B range to A range if you're below 5k. You don't have to be standstill, and you can go up from A to B as long as you're under 15k.
Right, got you. And you mentioned it's an Acco transmission, which is shared amongst your other sister brands. So presumably this transmission will have come out of Mark Toberdo.
That's correct.
Right, got you. Whereas your CVTs in the T series and the N series, that's out of
Finland.
Right, got you. And what was the decision to go with, let's go with that transmission over there rather than keep using this one or beef up this one that we've been using?
Yeah, it's a good question. So effectively this transmission that we've got here out in Mark Toberdo is tried and tested. It's been around for quite a few years, works well, we know what it does, we know we can cope with the horsepower, etc. Nice and reliable. So therefore it wasn't worth us developing or trying to reinvent the wheel to then make our direct, which is created or built in Finland to cope with a larger chassis frame size. So
especially when you've got one in the
family. You might as well use it. So.
That's it.
Everything else as a product, as you see, so the engine comes from Finland, only less than 100 kilometres away from the main factory site itself. The cab frame, everything you see here is built and manufactured in Finland.
Right.
So
it's
a true finished product.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's damn near a thoroughbred.
Yes,
almost.
Exactly.
Apart from a few bits here and there, and a transmission.
That's it.